Advertising has these people chasing cars and clothes they don't need. Generations have been working in jobs they hate just so they can buy what they don't really need. We don't have a great war in our generation or a Great Depression, but we do. We have a great war of the spirit. We have a great revolution against the culture. The Great Depression is our lives. Introduction to Fight Club. Chuck Palahniuk's 1996 debut novel, Fight Club, came at a time of widespread material prosperity and spiritual depravity. Cynical Gen Xers were increasingly aware of the drudgery of the day-to-day, monotonous 9-to-5 life foisted onto the modern age. Additionally, there were strong suspicions of large-scale corporate oversaturation and malfeasance. In short, the belief in the social contract, where if you work hard, everything would be all right, began to fray at the edges. 30 years later, the social contract is a distant memory in America and completely absent for younger generations. Fight Club, both the book and the 1999 movie, hit the scene like a roundhouse kick to the face, shocking a torpid generation of feminine men to their senses. It riled up a base desire for men to be part of something bigger than themselves, something that an IKEA catalog couldn't provide. As time has gone on, the material wealth of the 1990s is long past, and even having a steady corporate job is a pipe dream for most young men. Employment has become a daycare center, and jobs function as sinecures for those who adhere to the establishment's priorities. That is why now more than ever, a book to elevate you from your state of submission is an important book for young men. Even if you wouldn't be able to break out in the 1990s from the proverbial machine, it's imperative for you to break out now. If you're enjoying this discussion on great books for young men, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below with your feedback. We're trying to encourage more young men to read, so please feel free to ask a question if you're confused by anything or just like to have your voice heard. There's no judgment here. I'll try to post the commentary on Substack as well, and the links will be in the description below. I hope that you'll enjoy the discussion. As always, there are spoilers, so please consider reading the book prior to perusing the analysis. Thanks for your time. Searching for connection. In order for Fight Club to relate to a wide swath of men, Chuck Palahniuk made the urban setting vague and didn't even give the main protagonist narrator a name. It could literally be anywhere. A city with cookie-cutter condo buildings and corporate parks where derelict tracts of post-industrialization fester like sores. Many people describe Fight Club as a nihilistic novel where the main character seeks destruction for destruction's sake. But the search for human connection is actually the most important theme. Seeking out men close to death who have lost everything is, ironically, a way to feel suddenly alive. Hence, the main character finds himself cruising through cancer support groups as a means of catharsis. This is when I cry, because right now, your life comes down to nothing. Not even nothing. Oblivion. Too much estrogen. You get bitch tits. It's easy to cry when you realize that everyone you love will reject you or die. On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone will drop to 0. At the abyss of death's door, life becomes more clear and purposeful. Anyone who's survived a near-death experience or has a fatal disease can attest to this. It's better to face the specter of death than to be lulled into a coma by society's trinkets and distractions. Female interference. The main character is able to escape his consumerist drudgery by living a fantasy life going to the various support groups for deadly diseases. The Generation X need for authenticity in a grotesquely commercial world was a strong desire in the 1990s. It remains true to this day. There's nothing worse than being fake, than being a phony. This is why the intrusion of an other who might be able to see through self-deceit is such a threat. A female will have better intuition and be wise to the main character's deception. When Marla Singer begins going to the various support groups, the narrator is overcome with rage. He lashes out at her. Marla, you big fake, you get out. This is the one real thing in my life, and you're wrecking it, you big tourist. The next we meet, I'll say, Marla, I can't sleep with you here. I need this. Get out. Female intrusion into male spaces has been perceived by many men as a problem for decades. Hobbyist activities like tabletop gaming, as well as professional organizations. When women are present, men feel like they can't act themselves. They have to cater and impress, succumbing to the biological need to procreate. Marla's introduction into the story does indeed create problems. The main character develops a lustful relationship with her later on in the novel as his doppelganger, Tyler Durden. Like many relationships with women of a purely sexual nature, this is a completely self-destructive impulse. Young men have trouble controlling their strong desires, leading to short-sighted, ruinous life decisions. In the case of the main character, the sexual desire, even if it is not fully embraced by the main character, but rather through his alter ego, subverts many of his objectives. Progress in wreaking havoc on an oppressive society is slowed as Marla makes a nuisance of herself and insults his comrades while staying at the group's flophouse. Additionally, she feigns a half-hearted suicide attempt to seek attention. Marla Singer, while appearing as a countercultural libertine, is actually a foil on behalf of the establishment that undermines male solidarity, deliberately distracting the group from many of its righteous objectives. A quest for masculinity. The main character's alter ego, Tyler Durden, embodies many qualities and virtue that the oppressed beta male wishes he could be. Stoic, brave, edgy, unconcerned with how society perceives him. It's fitting that the Tyler Durden is a true doppelganger, since many men spend their entire lives in reveries of what they should be. Entire fantasies concocted in their heads play out for years while they go through the motions of their dull lives. It's fitting that the main character first meets Tyler on an airplane while he was reflecting on the pointlessness of his life traveling from random airport to airport. The main character is a man from nowhere, a nobody with no history. But Tyler regales him with his job as a movie projectionist and how he splices in frames of pornography, a transgressive and comical act that the main character dwells upon. When Tyler Durden suggests fighting, it seems a completely natural continuation of the journey to escape the hellscape of modern society. The main character does not even find it bizarre. Rather, he just tries to figure out how he will accomplish it despite having never even conceived of violence. Like every guy on his first night in Fight Club, I breathed in and swung my fist in a roundhouse at Tyler's jaw, like in every cowboy movie we'd ever seen. And me, my fist connected with the side of Tyler's neck. Shit, I said, that didn't count. I want to try again. Tyler said, yeah, it counted, and hit me straight on, pox, just like a cartoon boxing glove on a spring on Saturday morning cartoons. The fight is not a destructive act. Rather, it's a desperate attempt to live, like a caged animal acting out against its cruel oppressors. It's ignoring the short-term prospect of pain for the benefit of mental clarity and peace. That's why Tyler Durden declares that everyone must fight on their first night. It's a rejection of inauthenticity and a direct call to overcome decades of passive mental conditioning. A brotherhood develops between the members of the rapidly spreading fight clubs. Men see each other with contusions and sores from all walks of life. This even bled outside of the book's pages and into the real world, as fans of Chuck Palahniuk would frequently ask him where to sign up for a local fight club. Uncontrollable rage. The quest for meaning in Fight Club eventually degrades into degeneracy, unfortunately. The brave men that Tyler Durden have gathered become mired in nihilistic delusion and even think that God has forgotten them. The belief that God has no purpose for you is one that is constantly pushed by the regime so that they can sell you their own false hopes and dreams. The irony has been lost on them. However, the main character realizes the folly of his own endeavors when his followers deliberately crash a car. What will you wish you'd done before you died? The mechanic says and swerves us into the path of a truck coming head on. The truck hits the air horn, bellowing one long blast after another as the truck's headlights, like a sunrise, come brighter and brighter to sparkle off the mechanic's smile. Make your wish quick, he says to the rear view mirror where the 3 space monkeys are sitting in the back seat. We've got 5 seconds to oblivion. The men of Project Mayhem engage in the destructive for destruction's sake, no purpose to any of their action. An evil impulse to die in a blaze of glory that has no greater meaning. There is no control anymore of the chaotic situation by the main character. This is also signified by the main character having Tyler's gun in his mouth in the beginning and ending of the book. He can't even talk, let alone form coherent thoughts. Tyler has crossed the Rubicon from the trollishly sublime to the malevolent. Even as the main character is cut it off to the funny farm at the end of the novel, he cannot escape the project he has created. Many of the people seek to carry on the legacy, as evidenced by the secretive greetings from the orderlies in the mental institution. Palahniuk leaves the ending as morally ambivalent. Is a revolt against the system worth it for men? Is the destructive impulse a creative endeavor? Regardless, we hope that the young men of today will be able to connect with each other in more meaningful ways as they begin to realize the difficult atomized situation that modernity has placed them in. Thank you so much for listening to the Great Books for Young Men series. I really hope you enjoyed the analysis and that you'll read and enjoy the book. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you'd like to purchase the book, links are in the description below. If you want to shoot your mouth off at me on X, I'm at P. Beauheart. Find me on Substack at Paul Beauheart. Friendly Frog Press, we have works of classic and original fiction available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook formats on Amazon. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.